Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. In this technical analysis of the stock market video, I title it Hope Springs Eternal. That seems to be the message, I think, here in this bear market. And, in May, everyone was talking about, yeah, we've got peak inflation. That's happened. Everything will be just fine. No, those hopes were dashed. And now I think everybody's thinking, well, earnings are going to be better than expected. We'll see. We're about to get one of the heaviest weeks of the year coming up. This is going to be a real stress test this coming week, both with a ton of economic news, Fed meeting, and then all the earnings reports that are coming out. Let's start off here with the ETF dashboard. Then I'm going to take a look at the Russell 2000 ETF and the Dow Industrials. Look at one of my indicators that we look at every day, the percent of stocks in the S&P 500 above the 200-day moving average. And then quickly look at 4 results from this last week. And what did they look like? IBM, Netflix, Tesla, and United Airlines. Okay, let's start off here with the dashboard. And this last week, we literally flipped from the previous week. The previous week, we only had 3 sectors up and 13 down. And then this last week, 13 up and 3 down. And what's really weird about this is the previous 2 weeks, it was a similar type thing. It was like 7 up and 9 down, and then it flipped exactly the opposite. We're just getting a lot of oscillations back and forth. But this last week, the leading sector to the upside, 6.84% here with consumer discretionary. There was another one, home builders, and why? Interest rates, 10-year yield dropped dramatically, and the home builders bounced 6%. And then the biggest loser was a whopping 0.5% here at 0.5%. Not much of a move. So that is the picture for this last week. For the year, energy continues to be the only sector that's in the black. And then the leader of the downside continues to be retail, and I think that's a strong statement in terms of what the heck is going on with the economy right now. When we look at the index ETFs over here, everything was positive, and the strongest was in the transportation area at 3.86%. Okay, let's take a look at the side-by-side view with the Dow, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq. This is a weekly view. Let's see, the Dow was up 611 points this last week. The S&P was up 98 and the NASDAQ Composite up 381. So we got, we're getting a little bit of a bounce up here, similar to what happened in March with the moves that happened in March where we closed above the 10-week moving average. You can see how we backed off from the high where the bears tried to gain control, mainly because of Friday. We'll see what happens this coming week. All right, I want to take a look at the Russell 2000 ETF. Let's switch over to that. Okay, here's IWM, the Russell 2000 ETF. This is a daily view, and my preferred count now on IWM is that we've had 5 waves down, okay? And so that would be intermediate wave 1. I do believe this is a leading diagonal. It's one of those rare expanding leading diagonal patterns. Wave 4 is larger than wave 2, and 3 is larger than 1, 5 is larger than 3, and it seems to fit. And so right now, I'm really watching this box here. If the 5-wave move down, intermediate wave 1 has truly ended, we're going to get a bounce that's going to take us up into this territory. Now, the real question is, do we continue to track? Does it get above the June highs? That's why I put this little box in here, because the alternate view on IWM is what we were working, and that is that wave 3, minor wave 3, continues to subdivide lower and it's taking its time and becoming more complex, but is still working its way down. Now, this has not become invalidated yet, so that's why I'm just kind of keeping our eye on it and watching this territory right now. Now, when we go take a look at the Dow Industrials, it's a similar type thing. My preferred count that I've got on the Dow is that we've got a leading diagonal pattern in the Dow. I'm counting this that we are in wave 4. We've either completed it. Well, with this leading diagonal pattern, I have it as not quite complete because I want to see the overlap with wave one, okay, with 4 overlapping wave one. That's going to happen where? What is this dotted line? 32,272.64. So 32,272. Where did we close? 31,899. So we're talking 372 points above where we closed on Friday. That could easily happen in a morning session on Monday. You just never know. The alternate is that we actually finish intermediate wave one at the low, just like we have it labeled on IWM. Right here, that's where we've got it on the mid-June low. Okay, so that could very well be what happened, and that our leading diagonal pattern completed here. But again, we're watching this whole area. If we continue to push higher and move up into here, then yeah, that's going to reinforce the fact that we are into a wave two, intermediate wave two. That's going to retrace a good portion of the move down in here. But again, just like I talked about on IWM, well, what are we on alert for? That it continues to subdivide lower, and that really this whole wave structure hasn't really ended. So yeah, is there uncertainty? Yes. We've got to let the market continue to tell us what it wants to do. Price action is the most important thing in here. And we're going to get some pretty good clues this week, because I think this week is kind of like a stress test between the economic indicators we got coming out, the Federal Reserve meeting, GDP coming out, I believe it's Thursday, consumer sentiment on Friday, just a ton of things coming out this week. Okay, so that is the picture that we've got between the Dow, the Russell 2000. Now I want to take a look at the percent of stocks above their 200-day moving average in the S&P. Okay, so here's the picture with the percent of stocks above their 200-day on the SPX. We're sitting at 20%. Okay, we are down here in the basement, and it really hasn't turned. It tried to do it in May, and then just reversed right on back down. And the interesting thing is, look how the 21-day moving average has gotten down below 30 in here. You know, the blue line is the 10 exponential and the 21 simple. It's the same moving averages that I like to use on all of my instruments. And so now the blue is crossed down below again, below the 21. It's kind of flip-flopping around down here. So what am I watching? I just don't see that we got any kind of real tradable bottom that's being put in until we start getting that 21-day back above that 30 level in here. And I don't think the, you know, a really strong intermediate bottom per se may not be in until we get above 50. So let's just take a look at a couple of the recent bottoms. Let's just go back over here. Let's look at the two most recent very strong lows that we had. Here is the end of December 2018. So here's the time frame. You're going to be confused by looking at this timeline here, but here's the actual dates for the chart. So this was the end of December 2018. We turned in January 2019. Look how we were down here in the basement. We finally came back up above, and that 10-day moving average, it crossed above the 21 very clearly, but then it got above that 30 level when, for the first time, right about January 22nd, kind of indicating that, okay, maybe we were putting in a tradable bottom, and sure enough, it held. And then finally, the 21, everything got above that 50 level back over here in February, late February. Now, if we go back and take a look at that really hard bottom in March of 2020, what were we looking at? Look how severe it got. And then, you know, it took a while before it really got above that 30 level in here. May, the end of May, with the 10-day moving average, the 21-day here in June. 21 didn't get above 50 until August. So that is the picture. That's what we're looking at. We're still down here. You know, we're still down in this territory. And you got to be, I mean, it's just, you're always looking for clues. So let me just get rid of this, go back to where we are right now. This is where we're sitting. And we're just kind of keeping an eye on this just to see, does it just continue to oscillate down here, or does it start to flip to the upside? And of course, this is just one of many indicators we look at on a daily basis. Okay, let's take a look at some of the results that happened here this last week. And we're going to start off looking at IBM. Okay, here's IBM, and boy, this stock has just been doing nothing but just chopping. I mean, oscillating sideways, overlapping waves. It's a mess. It reminds me of barbed wire. And so the earnings came out on at the end of the day on the 18th. Okay, so right here at the end of that day, trading day, and here's the impact of what happened the very next day. So, very disappointing market reaction. They didn't like what they were hearing, and it came all the way back down literally to where it was before they announced their earnings in April. It's amazing. I mean, we literally flip-flopped on IBM. And the support that we had identified after we had this pullback right in here, it seems to have held at least so far. So 125 and 3/4 basically to 126 and 1/4, that 50-cent range in here. We'll see if that holds or not. So that is a strong support area, I think, on IBM. But the big message is this one was disappointing, and it was just a flip-flop from what happened in April. Let's take a look at Netflix. Okay, so Netflix also, it was kind of a flip-flop, but a little bit of the reverse. So this is a little more positive in terms of results. And, earnings came out after the market on the 19th, right here. So then we've had this 3-day move. What kind of follow-through do we get? Do we really come up and challenge this huge gap that occurred after earnings in April? And we'll see. I've got this dotted line here at 293. Why is that? Well, when I started looking back and saying, okay, what kind of support do we have? Well, 293, that's right about where the March 2020 low got support over here. And it's going to be really, really interesting. If this were to continue to rally up in here, does it really get that far? And can it even get through 293? So that's the picture on IBM. And it doesn't look super exciting to me, but I mean, if you're a big contrarian and trying to play the turn, it may be something you're interested in. Not something that I'm interested in. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla, okay. So this is similar to Netflix in that, positive reaction to the earnings that came out. This came out on the 20th and after the market closed, and they got the big bounce on Thursday, Friday. I'm a little suspicious of this price action that happened on Friday. We're up, we're overbought above the Kellner channel in here. Could be a sign of a little bit of exhaustion. We'll see. Back in April, the earnings came out after the market here. Big reaction at the open, went nowhere and closed the following day down. And then it just sold off for the next many, many weeks here into where was the low right here at the end of May. So that's the picture with with Tesla. And this dotted line here at 622 looks like very major support. This is where support came in May, and here in mid-June, right where these lows were put in back here in 2021. So again, that is going to be a very key area on Tesla. And again, watching right here, do we have some kind of at least short-term exhaustion on Tesla? So, and then the last one we'll take a look at is United Airlines that came out. So this was more on the disappointing side. So earnings came out after the market on the 20th, and then here's Thursday and Friday, basically the opposite reaction to what happened back in April. And you got a positive reaction for a day or two on April, and then that was it. And I put a box around this. This is everything from the beginning of January. So this is the kind of price action on United Airlines for the year so far. It's nothing but oscillating back and forth within this box. Okay, that's it for this video. We'll see what this week brings. There's going to be a lot of fireworks, a lot of volatility, so buckle those seatbelts. If you felt like the video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, hit that little subscriber button. If you'd like more of this information on a regular basis, head on over to joehenches.net. Check out the website, check out the membership. Everyone have a great week. We'll talk to you on the next video.